Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. I'm here to review My Son. Yeah, My Son. And now this is the newest James McAvoy movie, and it's a movie about a dad who goes on a search for his son. His son's gone missing, and it's just him and his wife kinda, and he's looking for his son. What's gonna happen next? And part of the big gimmick of this movie is that James McAvoy was not given any script, so he had to go to all these scenes and he had to improvise and try to figure out what's happening and try to just improvise everything. And so let's talk about it. Because this it's so funny, after review after review after review of me telling you guys script was bad, movie was bad because the script is king. Well, this is a movie that's kind of like the anti-script movie because there's the plot is like this very very simplified plot of like, okay, A B C D, and there's really nothing new to it. There's nothing special besides this gimmick. So that was a problem because I played other, I'm just thinking about Heavy Rain. This is basically Heavy Rain but trash. I mean, Heavy Rain, if you play that game, it is the better version of this movie. And it's such a better plot. It's a way better plot. Got a lot more moving parts to it. There's so many versions of the story that have already been done, and that's one of the issues. Like, if this was the only kidnapping movie ever made, then I would say it's okay. It is really just okay. It's just okay, and I think that that's an issue because the whole movie is just the gimmick. I mean, that's the movie. It sort of shows. I changed my mind with 1917, and I actually grew to love that movie. But my criticisms still stand. But this movie actually makes that movie like look even more intricate than it actually is. But it just shows like what happens when you make a movie based on a gimmick. And the wife, she's been in a gimmick movie before. She was in that Unsane movie, and she was in this movie, and the whole gimmick was it was all shot on an iPhone, which it's not really a gimmick anymore because people do that all the time. I mean, that's what I'm gonna do. This gimmick, maybe this gimmick is gonna become more mainstream, because when I did Super Dumbasses, that was all improv for me, and then all of them. So maybe that's gonna become a thing. But for now, it's just really not developed as a technique to making a movie. I mean, it's one thing, to have like a sequence, maybe. Like maybe the sequence where, okay, I'll get the spoilers when I talk about that. Because there's like a couple of sequences where like maybe that gimmick would be suited for it, but the whole movie, the whole story, I don't think so. It just doesn't work for me. And so the main issue for the movie is that the whole movie's based around that gimmick, and there's nothing really else to it. The plot is trash. The characters outside him are trash. I mean, the wife makes some stupid decisions. The wife's boyfriend, I mean ex-wife, I guess. The ex-wife's boyfriend, he's kind of stupid. He doesn't really, he's kind of trash. All the characters are kind of trash except for James McAvoy. Once again, James McAvoy is the star of the show. But once again, You need a good script. A good script is the most important part of a movie. And I don't care what anyone says, because now we've just had two movies where both of them have these great actors. Wow. James McAvoy, Oscar Isaac in The Card Counter. Wow. That movie must be really good. Okay? You need a good script. If you don't have a good script, you're not going to have a good movie. So, I don't even know what to rate it. Because how can you rate a movie that doesn't have a script? You know, it has to be something that, like, you okay, let's say that and now people are going to make faces when they hear this. Let's say you take out a bottle of ketchup and mustard and you just squirt it into your mouth and eat that. That's this movie, ketchup and mustard. It's one good element of a movie. James McAvoy's performance, because he's a great actor. He does a great job. And, you know, the movie's shot very well. It looks very well, you know, in terms of how it looks. Like, it's got a nice, you know, kind of rainy feel, you know, like heavy rain. But the story is just really, really bare bones, basics, garbage. And the side characters are not good. So you're left with just the only thing about this movie is that ketchup and mustard just squirting into your mouth. Like, you can't have a full movie if you just have this, if you just make this. So it's kind of sad. I thought that it was going to be a lot better than it was. I still kind of liked it a little bit. I mean, if you see where I ranked it out of like all the 34 movies I've seen so far this year, new releases, if you saw where I ranked it, it's like near the top 10. So even though I'm kind of trashing it, or just criticizing it, the movie's still an okay movie. It's a little less than okay though, because of those things I've talked about. So now let's get on to spoilers. Sorry about that. I just had to get that out. James McAvoy. There was a scene where he's looking through the phones of the boyfriend, and he's looking through it and he's watching videos to find clues. And I thought that that's actually a pretty good scene, because it's, you know, it's cool detective work type stuff. You know, you go through videos and you find the hidden, you know, creepy person in the background. Like, that's a really fun. I always love seeing that. You know, they did that in Disturbia. You know, it really works well. And, you know, people do that all the time. You know, when they investigate these true crimes, you know, you look at lots of cases, they look at this video and, you know, like someone's last moments before they were missing. You know, some person who's a person of interest. You know, these videos are very important. So I do think that scene, like, maybe if he didn't know what, but that wouldn't work, because then he would know the rest of the plot anyway. Okay, so, like, there you go. That's like one scene where, like, I could see why you wouldn't want him to know, because it'd be a lot more fun, like, watching him try to find it for real, because that's what he's actually doing in this movie. But other than that, like, it really doesn't work at all. Like, it really doesn't do anything special other than, like, just show how James McAvoy's a great actor, which we already knew. Like, if this was some sorry about that, I'm coming off a cold. But if this was some unknown actor that, like, you know, no one ever heard of him before, you know, maybe that would be kind of impressive, I guess. Like, oh, look, this is my first movie, and I can improvise an entire movie because I'm a good actor. Like, you know, that would be impressive, but it's James McAvoy. I mean, is there anyone that actually doubted that he couldn't do this movie and pull this off? Because he did. I mean, So, spoiler alert, I mean, basically, the kid was followed by a guy, and the guy kidnapped him, and then he handed him over to these slavers who were going to take him to pedophiles. And so it's like it's a whole pedophile network that is exposed. And but it just that plot, it sounds like ooh from the outside. From that sounded so queer. I was like ooh. But it sounds like so entertaining from the outside, like to see what happens with that. And like there's got to be a lot of action, a lot of suspense, a lot of like gives you a stomach ache type of feeling. But you really don't get any of that because like the last act of this movie is just spent inside of this house because they're focusing on that gimmick. And James McAvoy's like wandering around, and he's like, "Ooh, what's gonna happen over here?" And it's just so queer. It's so like, and then what makes it even worse is that the wife comes, and I mean, there's slavers walking around with guns, and the wife just walks in the front door. I mean, it's the stupidest shit. And she's in there and she's like, "Ooh, what's going?" And so I thought that was that was just so stupid. That just this long chunk of time, this is a scene. Let's say that the scene was done in a Dirty Harry movie. This is a scene that would have gone on for like 5 minutes at most, but in this movie, it's dragged out to like 30 minutes. And that's another main issue with this movie, is because the plot is so bare and minimum, all the plot points are dragged out. And so, like, you just get like a scene of like someone telling someone something. And that scene is like dragged out as long as it possibly can. And James McAvoy's just sitting there and he's like waiting for people to tell him what to say, basically. Like, okay, what's going on? So what is going on here? And then someone will say, stuff, and he'll be like, what stuff? What about stuff? Let's talk about stuff. And like that's basically this whole movie. It's still okay, I guess. I mean, I would still recommend it if you're interested in it, I guess. It's a Debbie Downer type of movie. It's it has the happy ending, but it's still not really that happy because it just feels so like, ugh. It feels so simplified and so empty. Like there's no soul to it at all. I mean, this movie doesn't got soul, so that's a problem. So, anyways, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, tell me what you thought about my son. I'm sure some people liked it. I saw some people liked it, some people didn't. This is the same type of movie as The Card Counter. It's another movie that looks pretty, has great actors, and then has a shitty script. I mean, when are they gonna learn? The script is the most important part. So, and then please subscribe to our channel for more movie reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.